We about ready? Okay.
I feel like we got cheated today not having an executive meeting, not having to come here at 6 o'clock or
Yeah.
6:30.
That it's not over
Yeah,
yet.
come after.
I'd
You're gonna
like
stay after.
to call to order the Town of McCandless agenda for the agenda review meeting. First order of business is to review the tentative business meeting agenda. Invocation would be Councilmember Powers with the Pledge of Allegiance. Move to approve the minutes. The minutes are in your pack there for approval. Under announcements, we're gonna have a recognition to long-term service individuals at that time. Number 6 will be a public hearing on the ordinance amending Part 13 Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of the Town of McCandless. This is the C5 district. This is the Trader Horn and Valley sites, the vacant land to the north of Blazer Drive. So that's will be the public hearing with a presentation, and that will be March 25th for that. Finance and Personnel Committee will be approving the checklists, which are in your packet there. And Public Works, this will be to approve a contract which was the lowest responsible bidder for a high lift at $95 an hour. There will also be a motion to award the contract to the lowest responsible bidder for the paving program at the town. Then unfinished business, new business, or public comment. Does anybody have any comments or anything about concerns about the agenda? Tentative agenda? Okay. The liaison reports, Planning Commission.
Well, Planning Commission held a meeting on Tuesday, March 5th of 2019. And it was a meeting to consider a subdivision application for sheets to subdivide and consolidate certain properties on Perry Highway and 131 Montclair in order to go forward with the Sheets convenience store and full fuel dispensing facility. This was approved by the Planning Commission with a 5-to-1 vote. The second plan was to consider Sheets' land development application at the same location. This was tabled to allow Sheets to present additional studies such as a geotechnical study and auto turn analysis for fire trucks, stormwater study for Casa Grande. Also, the Planning Commission wanted to consider the dumpster location and the need for 2 entries, and also discuss where plantings they were concerned. It was suggested more evergreen plantings that are deer resistant. There should be deer in that area. They should be present. Canopy trees such as maples and oaks were talked about as being a negative, and this matter will be tabled until next meeting, next month's meeting. That was it for the Planning Commission.
Zoning Hearing Board.
Zoning Hearing Board, there's nothing on the agenda for March, therefore no meeting on Wednesday, March 27th. February 27th meeting involved a sign variance request to install 2 building mounted signs. The property is on 8651 Cary Lane, which is off of McKnight, but it's actually the building that's going up now between Perrymont and Duncan Avenue on the left side of McKnight Road as you're going north. This is a senior living facility, and the variance was approved. The substantive validity challenge case that was decided in January by the Zoning Hearing Board has been appealed to the Common Pleas Court and by the protesters from Montclair. The appeal is, I can give the appeal, Chris just gave me the appeal number, and so the appeal number is available. And so that takes care of the Zoning Hearing Board.
Sanitary Authority.
Sanitary Authority, we did include some minutes in your packet, but I'd like to touch on just a couple of things, highlight a couple of things. Elkasand has kicked off and is moving forward with their municipal authority agreements for transfer of ownership of the sewers carrying multi-municipal flows. This is part of their regionalization strategy. For MTSA, that this impacts the Lowry's Run interceptor line below manhole 74, and that's jointly owned by Ross and MTSA. And so the authority has initiated conversations with Ross to come up with a joint strategy of how to approach that. Also, we received clean audits for both the MTSA and the Lowry's Run Joint Operating Sewer Authority for December 31st, 2018. The authority is working jointly with McCandless on a landfill site that the town and the authority could share together for road spoils. And I did want to note that the authority is working proactively on community resiliency, and in the event of a natural disaster and emergency, some of our key staff recently attended training provided by FEMA and by Homeland Security. And we intend to begin planning cooperatively with the COG and with our municipalities within the service area to make sure that we can respond effectively to protect our citizens in the event of an emergency. We did wrap up the roof replacement on the Pine Creek plant. That was about a $350,000 project. Finished it out nice and clean. So that concludes my report on the MTSA.
I always appreciate whoever takes, I don't remember who takes the minutes for the MTSA, but they're always so thorough. You can tell exactly what's going on in that meeting.
Elizabeth does, and I'll share your comments to her.
Please,
She will
yeah,
appreciate
they're
that.
always, it's very comprehensive. I think she does a good job. The Ambulance Authority,
Ambulance Authority did not meet last month. However, the Strategic Planning Committee did meet last Friday. And going forward, they will be meeting the third Friday of each month. That will be an advertised meeting and open to the public. It'll be Friday mornings, third Friday morning of each month. That's all I have on that.
the Library Authority,
Since I was out of town, the minutes were included in your packet.
we saw those, thank you. North Hills Council of Governments,
No meeting,
okay.
no meeting.
Joint Rec, apparently no meeting. MIDA,
There's an upcoming meeting at which there will be some discussion on the, somehow between my house and here, I left my calendar. I went to the car, it's not in the car, so I don't know where it is, but I don't have the date at me, but there's going to be a meeting, there's a meeting set, do you happen to have that meeting?
No.
I mean, you've been away, I know.
No.
but we'll post it on the
Yeah,
calendar.
it'll be
It'll be
posted.
posted.
Yeah.
Posted.
And is that meeting have a specific purpose you were about to tell us?
Well, that's what and my notes are on my calendar, but I think it's LaRoche has something's going on with LaRoche.
LaRoche is requesting a
That's
refinance.
that's refinance or LaRoche.
And there's another entity, I can't remember the name, that just
Yeah.
whisked by me when Marie made a comment about it, but there was another
Right.
entity looking for some support as well, so.
And more information will be forthcoming at the
Right,
at the
that was a
meeting.
new one on our radar.
Right.
Is there something about a sign for the Heritage Center too? Was that?
There was
Bill, did you hear?
discussion about that.
Was that to me, for the sign for the Heritage Center?
Wasn't there something about that? That's okay.
I mean,
There, I thought there was something
In the
about,
previous meeting, there was a discussion about perhaps after a size of a sign and what the purpose of the sign, it might be a multi-purpose informational sign for the town campus. It would also serve for the Heritage Center, open, closed kind of thing, certain events.
was I supposed to be doing something on that?
I think Kim's referring to the minutes from the previous
Okay.
meeting.
I
There's
just
been
didn't
no-
know if there was any more.
Yeah.
There's no new action yet.
I
because
think that's the answer, is no
There's
direction. Where's the-
some work being done by the
minutes
SDPC on that.
Yeah,
All right, thank you, Bill.
thank you.
Volunteer Firefighters Steering Committee?
I was unable to attend. Bill, you were there, and I know the next meeting's May 28th.
It is, and there was primarily discussion about kicking off some strategic planning with the departments, and also some discussion about the physicals and how that's handled in the future.
I know the next meeting, they're gonna rotate between the stations too.
I thought that was a great idea.
Yeah, I think so too. So,
North Pittsburgh, excuse me, anything
Pat
else?
yourself in the back.
Anything else? Anything else from the steering committee?
Nothing further. Thank you.
North Pittsburgh Community Development Corporation,
Nothing.
okay. Heritage Center,
Those minutes are also included in your packet.
thank you. I think we're getting closer and closer to having a purpose, policy and procedure protocol.
And there was a little bit of, we did a little kibitzing prior to going into the meeting, but in all seriousness, the improvements that the town attorney's is making some recommendations about presentation, and from what I'm seeing, the FDPC, I think it's their hope to get that final version through, because we have the input from the consultant,
Right.
as well as now the attorney, and I think it should be ready to roll really for next month.
Okay. One thing that I thought to add in there under number 9, do you have that with you? Chris, do you have the Heritage Center thing, do you have that with you?
bring it
Okay, that's right, I don't have it either. Under number 9, if you don't mind looking, it said that something about the Heritage Center, I thought was gonna be in our packet, so I thought I was gonna have that, but something about the Heritage Center could send out notices or whatever, and I'd like to have, I think it would be a good idea, perhaps put with that, after approval by town administration. So anything that any communications that they want to send out, or any advertising or anything, I think would be a good idea for them to run it by, the town manager, whatever.
Administration.
Yeah, however you want to say that. And, special thanks to Alice, Beckett Rumberger for all the help that she's done as a consultant on that committee. I think it's been very helpful. That's the only thing I had, on that. Community Day.
Have we had it yet?
Next meeting
Okay.
is, this
I've
day I know.
not heard about it, so I don't know.
26th, isn't it?
26th, I think
Okay.
it's 7 PM.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the next meeting.
March 26th.
Mhm.
Which is my
And it's
library
open-
board meeting.
And it's open to the public.
And it's open to the public. So that means that all public that would like to volunteer for Community Day, there's lots of work that needs to be done, lots of ideas. So please show up at this meeting, and you can be part of the Community Day committee.
I'll remember.
Okay. EAC, there's a little bit of a late entry to your packets. There are some study project forms there from the EAC, some things that we've been working on. The first one is a tree inventory. So I'm trying to remember what, the PA Outdoor Course has a tree inventory where they will come and take an inventory of all the trees. They'll identify the trees and they'll take numbers of the trees on town-owned properties. Now, this will add some to our green space inventory, plus it also helps us with our sustainable certification. There is no cost to the town. This is a service that they provide. And I wanted to run it by everybody and make sure that no one had any opposition to this, or this is, it's working with the Pennsylvania Department of Conservation and Natural Resources. Is that okay? Everybody good with counting the trees on town property, seeing what we have?
Yeah.
Tim, I just have a quick question.
Yes.
Do you know at this point, how detailed are they gonna be? Are they gonna take every little sprout that's coming up, I wonder, or just a nice substantial tree?
You know, I don't know what their criteria
Yeah.
are, but when we get it back,
Well,
I'll
they
present
must-
you
they
the
must have,
report.
they
I'm
must
sure they have a size, and
Yeah.
it's not gonna be a sprout.
Every little sprout's already been eaten by the deer, so I don't think we're gonna count those. Okay.
This is an important first step in understanding the biodiversity that these spaces represent. And so, again, this is a first step and a good one, so.
And we're looking at some tree planting programs, and this will help us know what trees to plant. So we know what we have and we know what we need more of. Okay, I feel like I got a nod from everybody on the tree
Yes, definitely.
counting. Oh, good. The next one is Cub Scout Pack 171 from Ingmar. built some bat houses. They had bat talk, and they built these bat houses. So what we would like to do is the special bat people, I didn't want to say Batman, special bat people will tell you where they can go, and we would like to put, I'm sorry, there's disruption down that end. And we'd like to put a couple of them on the town property, and this bat specialist will help us know how far apart they need to be and how tall and where we can place them. So I wanted to get the nod from you all if it was okay to put up some of the bat houses. You know, bats are very environmentally sound and help with the mosquitoes, and they have some more, all the good things about bats. So yes, nod with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Good, and if a couple of them at Wall Park would be okay too. So basically, if the nature person, the bat specialist says we can put them up in different areas, it's okay.
How many? Do we know?
I think they made 11, but I don't think we'll take all of those, because some of the kids want to keep their own,
No.
you know, but some of them, want to donate them to the town. Okay, I'll take that as a nod. The next project is a Recyclable Art Show. The goal of this is to raise recycling awareness, and it has the protocol here for how we're gonna proceed with it, but we're partnering with the North Hills Art Center, and the way this will work is we'd like to have these projects done by May 18th, so maybe we can display some of them at the Heritage Center anniversary event, and also the gallery down on Babcock has agreed to display these and help us help judge these for us, as well as do a display at Community Day. There'll also be some interactive projects too, which is the bottle cap thing that you'll see there. Apparently the Art Center has lots of bottle caps so that kids can make a giant mural with these. So how's everybody? None of these things are of any cost to the town. They're all through partnering with other entities. We okay with that?
I like the idea of them being at Community Day. I think that'd be something different. I like that.
Yeah, good. I thought so too. I thought that was a really good. Okay. We're still working well and on target for our sustainability certification. And John did a usual great job with his minutes for the EAC. That's all for me. Personnel board.
No meeting yet.
Okay. Okay, couple of things under President's report and correspondence is we received or agreed to receive a local government intern from the Local Government Academy. So we split the cost 50% with the Local Government Academy, and this intern comes here, and they are going to help write some of the do the electronics and write some of the
Grants?
writings, not grants, but
no.
for the sustainability.
Okay.
For sustainability.
Descriptive material.
Yes, descriptive material, thank you. So that's exciting to help us make progress on that. We're still looking for some sponsors for our town fitness court. So if you know of any sponsors, several lined up to for meetings to get the rest of the money. As you recall, the town puts in $30,000. We got a grant for $30,000, and then the National Fitness group helps us find sponsors for the last $60,000. But if anyone has any ideas, we'll be glad to investigate those. There is a little John put this together this afternoon for me. I keep hearing people say, "What? I didn't know that. I didn't know that. How do I know these things?" So I asked John if we could put together something like this and maybe print it out and have it out here with our other things, have it at Community Day, have them at the library.
How
Some-
about having them where people sign in every meeting?
And that was one of the things too, to have them sign in where people will come to the meeting. So, if you look this over, it's mainly, I was pleased to see so many ways that people can get information. So, hopefully there's something on here for everyone, that's our goal. So, I was, gonna see what you think about it. I feel like it's a worthy thing to just kind of print up and have them everywhere, so that maybe people can say, oh, Savvy Citizen, how do I do that? What do you think? Do you like this?
Yeah.
I just, a brief comment I made to John was we have some little heavier paper stock, card stock that's on hand already, so there's no additional expense. We could just start printing up some handouts.
Perfect.
I'd like to see it included in the calendar somewhere too.
It
for
has
next
been in the
year.
calendar.
All these have been?
Yes,
Okay.
almost the same presentation, not quite,
Oh,
but John
perfect.
adjusted it to the
Good.
size so we can have it on the 5x8. But it has been in the calendar
Okay,
and
good.
it's been run in the town crier, but not these other sites.
Is it
Yeah.
its own page in the town calendar?
I believe it
Or
was-
is it
That's
just?
what I was thinking.
We can grab one. I know it's featured on a page, yes,
By
in the
itself?
19 calendar.
Okay,
Oh, you're 19, okay, not,
Yeah, 19 made it in the 19 calendar,
In the 19.
because we hit 6, and we did put it in the town crier in the state summer edition.
nice.
All right, if everybody likes that idea, then we can print some of these and just have them around places where people gather. I know, like when we go down to the EAC goes down to the Cannon Garden, just kind of everywhere we go to have these for people, because I think I saw on Savvy Citizens now like 2,200 or something like that, people on there. So people are,
We don't post a lot to that compared to other towns.
well, we're working on it.
Well, that was one of the thoughts about it was, with the savvy people told us that some of the towns that were in the prototype got some criticism from the residents for overdoing it.
No.
And what we have done is, what we post is every single event that has any might have public attendance, whether it's the FDPC meeting or community day meeting, and then notifications of trouble. And so if there's a water main leak or that kind of thing, or a road closed, so I subscribe, and I get a notice almost one a day. And so the savvy people said that they were getting some complaints that, from the feedback from the Richland Township people.
Yeah, Richland post about everything.
Yeah, they said, some residents says, well, could you back off a little bit? So we're looking for a good balance, but anything of importance for gathering, any immediate kind of urgent event goes on.
I was at a PennDOT meeting earlier this week, and they, regarding the repaving of
Rochester.
Rochester Road, and PennDOT specifically asked about what vehicle we would be using, communication vehicle, to let citizens know of road disruption, traffic disruptions related to the project, and brought up Savvy Citizen. I think that's the right tool to use, because they're talking about single lane closures through the spring, and it'll be starting in just a week or two, the project.
Our more immediate ways of notifying are Savvy and Facebook.
Good, okay, very good.
One more thing I'd like to propose too is, unfortunately, fortunately, we have a lot of great committees, and we'll have a lot of interviews again to do this year, as we have in the last couple of years. Unfortunately, we've been doing that at the end of the year, which is when we're doing budget things, and it gets a little crazy. If you all remember how last year was, we had a lot of meetings, and they were really long meetings. And so what I would like to propose, and this wouldn't change any of the terms would be exactly as they are. They would still start when they normally start, so none of that would be changed. But what I'd like to do is spread out these appointments throughout the year. And then, like, I'll take the EAC, for example. So if we interviewed for the EAC this month, and we picked Steve to be on the EAC. Steve wouldn't start serving till January, but Steve could start coming to the meetings now and seeing what's going on, or he could just wait until January. But that would take some of the pressure off of us to do everything at once. So what I was thinking about doing is, I listed all of our authorities, committees, boards here. And if you all like this idea, then I was gonna say, let's pick a month to do these. Maybe say zoning and planning we would do in March, or, you know, so they're not, and let's leave out December, which is always a short month anyway because of the holidays, right? So November, December are budget times, they're short because of Thanksgiving and Christmas. So I was thinking, divide these up on the first 10 months of the year.
Are we not concerned with people who go, oh, I wanted to be on that, or who are already on it and they get voted off? Because people tend to, you know, when their terms are, they know they're not going to be back, tend to slack off a little.
I guess you can always have that short timer syndrome, but the people who are leaving know they're leaving. You know what?
If they know they're leaving, right, but there's
Yeah.
also people whose term is up and don't expect to necessarily leave, just expect to.
Well, a lot of people, they have you have 2 terms, don't you have a maximum of 2 terms?
Two
And-
reappointments.
2 weeks,
Yeah.
yeah, maximum 3 terms.
Oh, 3
2
terms, okay.
reappointments, yeah.
One original, 2 re.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are in that position now. I don't see any slacking up with the planning
I
commission.
haven't seen those kind of people even apply for these boards. You know, the slackers don't apply for the boards.
Right,
Most everyone I see on the boards are hard workers. They're on there because they mean to make a difference.
right.
But
If we're not worried about it, I'm not worried about it.
I like spreading it out a little bit, but I think, I don't want to start too early. I don't want people to, I hate to make an appointment in April for a position that only starts in next January. I mean, I just think that's a little extreme. I agree, the burden was extreme, and maybe if we started a 3-month window and tried to phase it over that as a,
September, October, November.
yes, that would be
August,
reasonable.
September.
August,
I was
September.
thinking like July, August, September.
Because then we could still communicate this change to everybody, and people wouldn't miss the opportunity. I can just hear people saying that the appointment was in January. I didn't know I had to apply in
Right, a year in
March,
advance or 8 months in
a year in
advance.
advance for the appointment. I don't want, at least the first time, I'd like to have more time to let the community know and be aware to get their names in and apply for positions. That's my only concern.
okay. Okay. Well,
Spreading
that's
it
why I
out's a
put
good
it up
thing, but
here.
yeah, spreading it out's a good thing, but let's,
Okay.
but
So the one that has to be done early is junior council. So I think we need to do this before the high school is out.
Right.
yeah.
And
I
then
think we
that person
agreed
can
on
be
that last year.
appointed, and then they can start in the fall. So this one, I definitely think it needs to be run in April, decided in May, right?
That's
We-
what Franklin Park does, yeah. Franklin Park does their junior.
We're not
council.
copying them.
They heard that we were gonna do this.
That's right. Good, that's good. That's good. Good, Toby. Way to recover.
Okay, so why don't we advertise in April? Okay, and then we'll select this person in May, and then we said that their service would start when the school year started. That's like September,
September.
right, the end of August, right, September? Okay, so that's the only one that I felt for definite sure needed to be early.
Sure.
Okay, so do we wanna say August, September, October?
Yes, because that way you get the budget in October, you'll be done with your interviews in October, you can review the budget.
Do we
Okay.
care how we split them out?
No, we just need to make sure we get this word out to the public
Right.
in ample time.
Right. Oh, yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
we have to advertise for 6 weeks, and we got a whole thing, you know, we have to do.
If I have a suggestion, because of the authorities are allowed to continue, authority members are allowed to continue in their position until replaced. It's a state law. So
That is
the
correct.
3 authorities could be latest.
Last.
Which is
Oh,
last.
last.
Okay.
So
You
in
got
case,
some
in case
buffer,
there's
you've
some,
got some buffer
for some
time.
carryovers, more discussion, who do we
So-
appoint?
This
Those
is an
three.
authority, this
And-
is an authority, this is an
Yeah, so
authority.
you've got
Right.
those three.
Yeah.
So these will be last. All right, so that will be October.
And-
Is this what we're thinking? Okay.
Yeah.
I like when you guys nod. Okay, so, and then, how about we just split up the rest based on how many people?
MIDA is also
Yeah, I think
an
I was gonna
authority.
say that, yeah.
That's also
Oh,
an
sorry,
authority.
sorry.
And there's not that much business necessarily from them, so,
Left with 5 to spread out.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
August
the
and
EAC
September.
is already an August appointment, so we took care of that when we invented the EAC.
Yeah, we did.
That's right.
So
Perfect.
those are gonna
So
continue to
it
take
gets
place
a-
in June.
All right, so this is in June, all right. All right,
June for a
so
July appointment,
For July.
June for, I'm gonna put it on here, June for July.
and then they start serving in August.
And this is in August.
That gives you planning commission in September. huh?
And then why don't we do personnel and uniform together, because remember when we had somebody, they're all the same, you know what I mean, they're all, we'd say, oh, which committee is this for, and so they could fit in either one.
It
So
seems
why don't
like
we keep
people
those two together?
apply for these together,
Yes,
Yeah.
they do,
okay, don't
And
they?
they do.
And then personnel and uniform are the
Okay.
same thing.
So we do these together
Mhm.
and then,
I think there's only one.
The bottom
one
two
of
do together.
Yeah.
okay. How does that sound?
Yeah.
Does that sound okay?
Yeah, and so then you would consider September would be a good month, because that gives 3 months for people that are interested in zoning and planning to start to ascend the learning curve.
So we said this one would be October
Yeah, it-
and then
So
either
not in August then?
either September
Do both
or,
this in September?
Oh, you know, maybe interview zoning and planning in August, because then they could ascend the learning curve.
see, that's what I like,
Yeah.
to give people a little time to be sitting in to see how it's going so they don't go in cold. Jason Singer, the EAC, said that he thinks that everyone should sit in on those boards because people think an advisory board is not a board that's working, that they're just talking, and that they can really see what the boards are doing and, okay.
So they would be, zoning and planning would be August, maybe, it looks like you got this, and then
Yeah.
personnel and uniform would be in September.
Yeah.
Right. Good.
Here, I'll just put it down here so you can copy it. Or
Uniform
take a picture of
construction
it.
and personnel go together?
September,
Yeah,
and this is August.
Now, what-
typically when we always say, oh, wow, they could fit for this or that, you
Right.
know.
And that's what
Why
people
is that?
tend to apply for together,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, okay.
What puts those two together, uniform construction and personnel?
People just do that, they just apply for those two together, I've noticed.
Oh, is there some natural connection there?
I mean, I just think when we were doing the interviews the last time, we kept saying, oh, they could fit for this or they could
Yeah.
fit for that, you know, we just,
I'm not opposed
their
to it, but I just wonder
experience and background.
what it is that causes that to be a conclusion. That's all right.
Okay. So everybody likes this, I think this is gonna help us a lot. It's not on here, but I'm gonna just add it here real quick. Our junior council member, did you have anything that you would like to?
So I have my report for this month, so I can pass that around.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir?
Thank you.
And so this month,
I got 2.
Okay, one for me, thank you.
So this month I did it on the upcoming technology board that Dewani had been discussing with you guys,
Okay.
and just the my ideas of what should it be, because I know you guys were talking about last month or last meeting that you didn't know how broad you wanted it to be, if you wanted to be specific or broad. So I kind of outlined how I thought it should be run. So I talked about a short term, a long term, and a medium term
Wow.
issues. So a short term I discussed, because I noticed that a lot of the computers here are still being run on Windows 7, which next year in January Microsoft is canceling support for it. So that means any security updates will no longer happen, which opens up the town's computer systems to potential security breaches. And then also talked about how we have a Facebook page for the council, but we don't have an Instagram page. So a lot of my generation and 20s younger are now moving over to Instagram and away from Facebook. So communicating with younger citizens will be done better over Facebook, or better over Instagram, sorry. For medium term, I talked about how 5G is replacing 4G LTE for cell phone networks. So that poses a big issue with cell phone towers, that it used to be just like one big tower controlled like miles of area, but so 5G is going to use a bunch of smaller cell phone towers. So the current range for 4G towers around like, I think 5 miles or something, but the new 5G towers are only going to be 300 yards. So it's going to be a lot of smaller towers. So I thought that like the town's going to need to regulate like the zoning laws, like where towers can be placed, and like if they want to be like incorporated into the environment, like being disguised as trees. And then for the long-term issue, the thing that I came up with was something called a duck curve. So that's for the power grid. So California is one of like the biggest users of solar power. So the way that power demand works is in the morning, people get up, you like make some coffee, demand goes up, and then everyone goes to work, and so less buildings need power, so there's a decrease in power demand, and then people come home and way more power gets used. So when people are at work and the solar panels are running, the demand is dropping farther for the midday and then rising way farther up after people get home and like the sun goes down, no solar energy. So power plants currently, to be economically viable, have to be like around 100% constantly to produce like enough power, and that's just how they're contracted. But if the power demanded drops too below the power supplied, then it can like mess with the grid and really hurt that. And so California is now struggling that like, oh, all these power plants are going to shut down, but then when the solar power stops working later in the night, then we need all these power plants, and it's just becoming a huge issue. So while it's not an issue for Pennsylvania yet, because we're not as invested in solar as California, it's going to be an issue in the future. So I think that that would be a possible long-term issue for our community.
Thank you,
Very
Michael.
good, thanks.
Anything else? Yeah. Very
Michael, could we trust you when it's time to advertise for your spot, to get that in whatever mechanism with the school, with the paper, or however?
Yeah, I'm part of the school newspaper, so I can probably do something with that too.
Okay, okay. Or any other way that, for us to advertise, that you can think of at the school that, you know, people will see?
Yeah.
Just let us know so we can do a good job with that, because we're still learning about this. Thank you.
Just a quick follow-up. You're right about a couple of things for sure. The windows, we are in the process of migrating to 10, but I'm glad you detected that. And the other thing that you're spot on about is the potential proliferation of towers, small towers. And I got an email from our Council of Governments. You weren't reading my email, were you, today?
Because you're on Windows 7.
No, I'm on 10, I'm on 10. I got converted. Good thing. No, but seriously, the COG, there's a telecommunications attorney that our COG and many across the state use. And we had a preliminary review by our law firm here that had already gotten the information from the COG and a follow-up, and now our attorneys have looked, and he delegated that to Janosko, Ms. Janosko, and she said that we're in good shape with a couple of adjustments, but you're spot on about that. Thank you.
What's the size of a small tower? I mean,
They put them on light poles, basically. For
Light poles?
EIS
So there could be
systems.
like light pole ones. I saw that some in California are being disguised as like palm trees and
Yeah.
stuff. So
okay, good, thank you.
like 18, 20 feet high.
Thank you. Good
Mike, I just have one
Some of
question
them
if I
can be
may.
as low as a stop sign.
No, really?
I thought you did a good job with this. I looked under the duck curves, one long-term. California's love for solar energy is causing our energy industry to collapse. Is that,
Just
is that
explain
true?
that.
So they've been having a lot of issues that like, because the energy supplied is like, there's a artificial floor for the energy supplied, and because of all the solar energy, because last year California state legislators said that all new homes built in California have to have some form of solar like
Yeah.
energy on the housing, so that during the midday less energy is being demanded, is being supplied, and America's grid infrastructure is kind of aging at this point, and so it's been overloading the system, and, or not yet, but that's a potential. They said in 2021 it was gonna be a much larger issue. So the coal and nuclear power plants are contracted and constructed to be economically viable at like 100%, like constantly running full capacity. So if less is demanded than they're supplying, then it could damage the grid and also make the power plants not profitable, which would shut them down. Which, if they are shut down, then the issue is after midday and people come home from work and you have the solar panel shut off because the sun goes down, no solar energy, so then there's no supply of energy after that. So like, it's a balancing act of finding like how to store the solar energy when people aren't using it, and then like fixing the grid to store the power that people aren't using. And it's just been a huge like problem, especially in like the San Francisco area.
Thank you, Mother.
I have another question for you. Could you make an announcement on the NATV about your position?
I could,
Yeah, okay.
yeah, I can have that.
Okay, good, thanks.
We're gonna have to find one for that. I was gonna say that.
I was gonna go to our meeting, but,
Yeah, it's what's coming.
okay. It's been coming for as long as I've been on council.
They're doing their beta testing now, so.
Is that up and running yet?
Which,
The new version of NATV, we were told it was being beta tested 2 weeks ago, so.
I mean, there's like the morning announcements that, because I'm pretty close to Mr. Morris, who runs the NATV in the journalism department, so I could probably get him to like do an announcement on the morning announcements, or there's like a TV in the cafeteria that he can like have an announcement on, so I can talk to him about that, and I'm gonna write a journalism article being like, hey, if anyone wants to do it next year, I'll take it over entirely.
We're also waiting for that channel to get up so we can put our meetings on the television station for community members who maybe aren't savvy with the computer, or, you know, we're trying to make one more way for people to, so that's supposed to be up. Just didn't know if it was up yet.
I can talk to my teacher about it.
Awesome. That would be great. Thank you. Town manager report.
Key one to point out is 1B, Pine Creek Route 19 intersection corridor improvements. We surprisingly received a late notice for payment. I've been reporting month in, month out that we haven't received an invoice. Well, we still haven't received an invoice.
But we're late.
But supposedly we're late, and so we are looking for a cost breakdown on the invoice, as well as what our share is going to end up being for the inspection costs of the project. Because we have been carrying over our share of the construction portion of the project. And there was negotiation initially, and I've been looking back, researching since we received this, to see if we have reached some kind of agreement on the inspection costs, because they could be a significant part of this invoice that we're still waiting for. And it may be higher than we have been carrying. So we're researching that, PennDOT's researching it, and we're gonna see if we can come to a reasonably happy conclusion. Because we owe them at least what's in our budget. We've been carrying on our budget, our share of the construction costs. It's gonna be in the ballpark of $790,000. And we've been carrying that money over as a reserve, because that's our share, and that was our promise. But I was always hopeful that maybe the construction costs would be a little lower than that. We just have to see. So we need a breakdown of the invoice, and when we get that, we'll be able to report further. I gave a detailed report that I received from our engineers about item 3A. I just wanted you to see, in terms of communications on site, how we believe this was our prototype stream bank restoration project. As you know, we weren't permitted to do these before. Now it's desirable, and it's in essence now a requirement to do some kind of TRP work, and stream bank work is a very logical candidate. We have that in our 5-year plan. And so I kind of gave you, it's a fairly long summary, but it's a blow-by-blow account of how this worked and there was good interaction with the residents. And I will tell you that between the contractor and our inspector, the project was over, and I asked for a status report sometime after the 25th of February, and the engineer said, "We're done." And it was quiet. It was very well done. So that one, and they're just waiting for the vegetation to come through the stream banks. And this is the one along Highland Road at Oneida. And with Steve, in your area, that Harmony Drive, we're now really going at it. It's slow going because of where the gas lines and other lines are, but that's another PRP-related project. Allegheny County has really come through now. They're splitting the costs on the project along Highland Road, the storm sewer project to lay in, and they are in the process now of sending us a draft agreement. So that, a lot of good news there. Town Square culvert replacement, we got our DEP permit. More good news, and very few changes to what our engineers submitted, and that's out for advertisement. That's happened here recently. And as Kim said, we have over almost 2,300 subscribers of Savvy. And we are working away on the sustainability certification. I think it's nice to point out, to make sure that the public who may be watching tomorrow on YouTube, we have enough information. We're at the silver state now, silver level. And we're pushing for the goal being if we can hit platinum on the first round, which, did I hear correctly, Kim? Did you hear? I don't know if that's ever been done on the first round, that somebody got plat. I think this took an extra year or two. But we got a lot of people working on this.
I haven't heard that.
And it's a good team effort. The EAC and the departments are working on this. And it's been pointed out already that the local government academy intern is going to help us with a lot of the documentation. Comp plan, I don't want to steal any thunder there, but that is something that's been, a lot of work's going into that now, to have a draft prepared, being reviewed by the steering committee, to go to the planning commission and then council for a first read on that. In about, it's March now, probably May.
Any questions for the town manager?
I have one comment for the town manager report. This is just a bit of a sore spot I want to bring up to the council, because you all may not be aware of it. You brought up this issue of the Wexford Flats project and the $750,000 in sidewalks, and it's been brought to my attention, and council's been aware of this for some time, past councils, that apparently because of a lack of cooperation with PennDOT, I think in some ways, there's about 50 or 100 feet of sidewalk literally isolating hundreds and hundreds of homes from accessing that $750,000 worth of sidewalks that we built up there. And residents have spoken numerous times, I think, to council members, to ask for some relief and see if there was any way that we could partner with PennDOT more effectively to add that section of sidewalk, particularly with the congestion up there on game nights and things. You know, the community wants to walk if they're able to the games and to the high school events, and right now they're not able to do that safely. So I just want to create an awareness here, and since I'm the sidewalk man, all right, no better person to bring it up. Let's make them work, right?
Yeah.
So, thank
So
you.
if we get an opportunity to see about that with PennDOT, or maybe you can make an opportunity for, start feeling something out. Is that possible?
I don't want to be a naysayer in this, but I think because it's out of PennDOT's right of way, I don't think let me put this in a positive light. I think PennDOT would not, I think they welcome, you want to attach a sidewalk to the ones we built up here, I think they would have, there's not going to be any objection, because the sidewalks are built, they're ours to pass on, as a municipal policy, pass on to sidewalk maintenance to the owners of the sidewalk. PennDOT built those sidewalks with 80% federal funds, ones along the ribbons of sidewalk along Route 19. But as far as tying in, I don't think they're going to be particularly interested in any kind of grant. A permit, if it's getting into their right of way, I can't imagine them. All we have to do is probably just punch the numbers on getting a permit. I think it's going to be up to the town as we have a sidewalk plan that appears to be emanating from our comprehensive planning. As you said, it's a pretty short route. the old term bang for the buck, to connect literally hundreds of homes with a small connection to Route 19. I mean, there's
That
gonna
was
be
my
priorities
goal tonight.
presented to
That's
you.
my goal tonight, is to make that
How council gets involved.
recognized as a high priority area as we move forward with planning.
And perhaps look for, not necessarily PennDOT sources of funding, but look if there's someone else that's interested in intermodality, some other source of funds.
How about
I
some
think
of those
very good.
businesses along there?
Exactly, businesses,
Mhm.
set up, basically, at some point, the comp plan gets wrapped up, put it out on the street, have a town hall meeting, let's talk about this. And
Thank
since he's interested, that'd be my recommendation.
Good. No other comments?
Okay. Any other comments? Do we have anything from the town attorney's report, other
No,
than what we
other
got?
than what's in the report, no.
Ooh, I have one question for Toby. We actually talked about this about a year ago. Did they come up with any solution for the lights on the bridge at Vesta Park? Remember they're all smashed out?
We've tried different, one version was to try to elevate. The answer is no. Is the final solution? No. Alternate solutions still being pursued? Yes. Because the Lexan covers, you'd think that they would withstand a number of hits on it. Somebody must be using a piece of heavy pipe or something, not just a wooden baseball bat, because
Or the
to
metal
take out,
bats.
or even
And they're broken
repeated
every
blows.
year, aren't they?
Yeah.
Almost,
still are.
it was worse before, they were broken literally every year. We used to have the metal cages over the lights, and they just bent those in and smashed them into the lights. We got the Lexan covers that are supposed to be about indestructible, well, they're not.
Last year they weren't even working. And
I
since
know.
baseball's starting again, I'm
So-
just thinking,
And then we talked about some elevated poles, maybe interspersed a little further apart, but then that's gonna be a target, I mean, attractive nuisance. Is someone gonna try to shimmy up the pole to take it out? So, we're just looking for ways, so we're still looking for ways.
You know, they've broken just about every single one of those. It wasn't like it's a random little once or twice.
No,
It's
it's
right down the
every year.
line.
Yeah.
Is there any way for surveillance of
that's
something
what I
like that?
said.
You know, that is some, yeah, we
You
have
said
talked
that.
about that. In fact, we had money in the budget last year for, the association said we're okay with security cameras. Well, maybe we're not. Maybe we ought to think about having a security camera at each end
Well, I guess we talk about trail cams too.
to do that.
Was it Mark Savina? Someone said that
Yeah,
they
he-
had a few that we could use.
All right, all right, well,
It's just because I saw an older gentleman walk literally right into the woods until he missed the bridge, and I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, you have so many little kids and families and babies running around, we can't have, you know.
Yep.
We're trying to find a way in the dark.
Anything else from council? Any comments from the public? All right, hearing none, I would like to ask if I could get a motion and a second to go into executive session to discuss town manager search.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay.
Second or someone.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There will be no further business after this meeting, so after executive session, we'll be closed. If everyone wants to take a minute, 5 minutes, and then we'll be ready.